Some pictures or parts of this video may not originally be related to the Sentinelese and have been included solely for the purpose of video production.
Far across the restless waves of the Bay of Bengal, beyond the reach of busy cities and the noise of modern life, lies a tiny speck of green, North Sentinel Island. It is a place so remote, so secretive, that it feels like it belongs to another world, or another time. Here, in this hidden land, live the Sentinelese, a people untouched by modern civilization, fiercely independent, and mysterious beyond imagination. They are the last of their kind, guardians of a way of life that has survived for thousands of years without contact with the outside world. Stories of North Sentinel Island fill explorers with wonder and fear. Who are the Sentinelese? How do they live? Why do they reject outsiders so violently? These questions swirl around the island like the monsoon clouds that often cover it. And yet, despite many attempts to reach them, the island and its people remain wrapped in mystery. This is the dramatic tale of North Sentinel Island, its wild beauty, its fierce protectors, the tragic encounters, and its place in the world today. North Sentinel Island is part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, a chain of islands that belongs to India but lies much closer to Southeast Asia. The island is small, about 60 square kilometers in area, or roughly the size of a small town. But what it lacks in size, it makes up for in secrets. Thick, dark green tropical forests cover almost every inch of the land. The trees stand tall and close together, making it impossible to see more than a few meters into the jungle. From above, the island looks like a giant emerald floating in the blue sea. Surrounding the island is a deadly ring of coral reefs. These reefs are not only beautiful but also dangerous, as they make it almost impossible for boats to approach the island without getting stuck or damaged. Even small boats must navigate carefully through the shallow waters, and larger ships dare not come near. The beaches of North Sentinel Island are narrow and bright white, kissed by waves and fringed with thick bushes. Monsoon rains drench the land for months, turning the jungle into a dark, wet labyrinth. It is a paradise, yet a fortress, nature's perfect defense to keep intruders away. The people of North Sentinel Island are known as the Sentinelese. They are believed to be descendants of the first humans to leave Africa more than 60,000 years ago. Experts think they have lived on the island for at least 30,000 years, possibly even longer. This makes them one of the oldest, most isolated human communities on Earth. The Sentinelese are generally short, with dark skin and tightly curled hair. They live in small groups and build simple huts with leaf roofs. They carry longbows, arrows, and spears. Their bows are tall, almost as tall as they are, and they are highly skilled at using them. They are hunter-gatherers. They catch fish and turtles from the sea, hunt small animals in the forest, and collect fruits, roots, and honey. They do not farm, keep animals, or build permanent villages. Their simple life has changed little since ancient times. When outsiders appear, the Sentinelese show a pattern of behavior that is clear and consistent. They come to the beach, sometimes in groups of men, women, and children. They shout, jump, wave their arms, and point their bows. If the outsiders come too close, they shoot arrows or throw spears. These actions are not random, they are a warning. The Sentinelese do not want visitors. They want to be left alone. The story of outsiders trying to reach the Sentinelese goes back more than a century. In 1867, an Indian merchant ship called the Nineveh crashed on the coral reefs near the island. The crew of 106 people made it to the shore and camped on the beach. Soon, they were attacked by the Sentinelese with arrows. They defended themselves with sticks and stones until a British rescue ship arrived days later. It was one of the first documented violent encounters. Later, in 1880, British naval officer Maurice Vidal Portman, who had an interest in studying the Andamanese tribes, landed on North Sentinel Island with a large team of armed men. He searched the island for days until he found a small group of Sentinelese, an elderly couple and 4 children. He kidnapped them and took them to Port Blair, the colonial capital. but the old couple fell sick quickly and died. The terrified children were sent back to the island with gifts. This event was a disaster, and it is believed to have convinced the Sentinelese that contact with outsiders brought only death and suffering. For decades afterward, the island was left alone, visited only by occasional passing ships, which the Sentinelese chased away with arrows. In the 20th century, the Indian government took control of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and began to take an interest in the Sentinelese. Officials wanted to integrate them into modern society. In the 1960s, anthropologists led by T.N. Pundit, an Indian researcher, started a series of contact expeditions. They went by boat to the shores of North Sentinel Island and tried to leave gifts, coconuts, metal pots, plastic buckets, even dolls. Sometimes the Sentinelese accepted these gifts, sometimes they shot arrows. Pundit's team continued these visits for more than 20 years. In 1974, a film crew from National Geographic, together with Indian officials, went to the island to shoot a documentary called Men in Search of Men. They tried to offer coconuts, but the Sentinelese answered with arrows. One of the film crew members was injured in the leg. The team retreated quickly, leaving their gifts behind. Over the years, there have been several dramatic and tragic incidents. In 1981, the cargo ship Primrose ran aground on the reefs near North Sentinel Island. The crew waited on board, hoping for rescue, but soon saw groups of Sentinelese on the beach, building canoes and sharpening weapons. Fearing an attack, the crew radioed for help. A helicopter arrived just in time to lift them off the ship. The Sentinelese then looted the abandoned vessel for iron. In 2006, two fishermen, Sundar Raj and Pundit Tiwari, were illegally fishing for mud crabs near the island when they fell asleep and their boat drifted to the shore. The Sentinelese killed them with arrows. An Indian Coast Guard helicopter was sent to recover their bodies, but the Sentinelese shot arrows at the helicopter, preventing the retrieval. Again in 2018, one of the most shocking recent events occurred when American missionary John Allen Chow illegally traveled to North Sentinel Island, hoping to convert the Sentinelese to Christianity. He paid local fishermen to take him close to the island. When he went ashore with gifts and a Bible, he was killed almost immediately by arrows. His death sparked international debate over ethics, human rights, and the Sentinelese right to isolation. On December 26, 2004, a massive undersea earthquake struck off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. It measured 9.1 to 9.3 on the Richter scale, one of the strongest ever recorded. This earthquake triggered a tsunami, a series of huge, fast-moving waves that spread across the Indian Ocean. The tsunami reached the eastern coast of India, including the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, within hours. Waves up to 10 meters high hit coastal villages. In India, thousands of people were killed or injured. Coastal areas in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands suffered massive destruction. In the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, many islands were flooded or damaged, and some low-lying areas were permanently changed. Because North Sentinel Island is very low-lying, Indian authorities were worried that the tsunami might have wiped out the Sentinelese. A few days after the disaster, the Indian Coast Guard and Navy sent helicopters to fly over the island to look for signs of life. When the helicopter hovered low, Sentinelese men came out of the jungle onto the beach. Some reportedly shot arrows at the helicopter, showing they were alive and still fiercely protective of their land. The helicopter crew did not attempt to land. They took photos showing a Sentinelese man aiming his bow at the aircraft, an image that quickly became famous worldwide as proof that the tribe had survived. Indian officials were relieved. Despite the tsunami's devastation elsewhere, the Sentinelese had survived, likely thanks to their traditional knowledge of the sea and natural signs, e.g. unusual behavior of animals or the sudden retreat of ocean water before the waves came. After confirming their survival, the Indian government decided not to interfere or attempt further contact, respecting their isolation. After many failed and dangerous attempts to contact the Sentinelese, and especially after incidents like the 2004 tsunami, when they were found alive and defending their land, and the killing of fishermen in 2006, the Indian government made a clear decision. The Indian government decided to leave the Sentinelese alone, in peace, and protect their right to live without interference. Specifically, India declared North Sentinel Island and the surrounding 5-kilometer radius a restricted zone, making it illegal for anyone, including tourists, fishermen, or researchers, to go near the island without permission. Indian Navy and Coast Guard patrol the waters regularly to keep outsiders away. The government's official policy is hands-off, no further efforts to contact, integrate, or interfere with the Sentinelese. This policy recognizes the Sentinelese right to self-determination, their extreme vulnerability to outside diseases, and their clear desire to remain isolated. Indian law under the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Protection of Aboriginal Tribes, Regulation, 1956, amended later, gives legal backing to this protection, making unauthorized contact a crime. This decision reflects a shift in thinking. Instead of forcing modernization, India chose to respect the Sentinelese way of life, understanding that protecting their isolation is the best way to ensure their survival. Today, North Sentinel Island remains under the protection of the Indian government. Strict laws forbid anyone from approaching the island or making contact with the Sentinelese. The government has declared the island and surrounding waters within a 5-kilometer radius as a restricted zone. No one is allowed to land there. The Indian Navy and Coast Guard regularly patrol the area to make sure curious tourists, fishermen, or illegal hunters do not get close. These measures are designed not only to protect outsiders from danger but also to protect the Sentinelese from diseases. Because they have had almost no contact with the outside world, they have no immunity to modern illnesses like flu or measles, which could wipe out the entire tribe. The Sentinelese are estimated to number between 50 and 200 people. But since Northwest One has had close contact in decades, no one knows the exact figure. Indian policy has shifted over time. While early governments wanted to civilize the Sentinelese, today's policy is simple: leave them alone. Anthropologists and human rights groups agree that forcing contact would be unethical and dangerous. The Sentinelese have made it clear again and again that they do not want visitors. They have a right to live in peace, in the way their ancestors did for thousands of years. The story of North Sentinel Island is a powerful reminder of the diversity of human life on our planet. It tells us that even in a world connected by satellites and the internet, there are still places where ancient traditions continue without interference from the modern world. The geographical features of the island, dense forests, dangerous reefs, stormy monsoons, have helped the Sentinelese stay isolated for thousands of years. Their appearance, their behavior, and their fierce resistance to outsiders have protected their culture from being erased. Many people, from British colonial officers to modern anthropologists and even missionaries, have tried to reach out to the Sentinelese. Almost every attempt has ended in failure or tragedy. Each incident has taught the world that some communities simply do not want, and should not be forced, to join the modern age. Today, the Sentinelese remain one of the world's last uncontacted tribes. North Sentinel Island stands as one of the few places left on Earth where humans live as they did in ancient times. The island is a symbol of survival, mystery, and the right to remain untouched. Let the story of North Sentinel Island remind us of the value of respecting other cultures, no matter how different they are from our own. And let it inspire us to protect the last wild corners of our world, where nature and humanity remain locked in their timeless dance, free, fierce, and forever mysterious.